Just Eff It.
Hi, I'm Romy, an identity coach helping others who struggle with their sexual identity and families of queer youth find their path of understanding and acceptance.
And I'm Carla, a mom empowerment coach empowering moms to own their new identities and motherhood journeys.
And together we are the EFFing Madres. We are here to invite you guys into stories of some inspiring madres
who have changed their lives through an Eff It moment. So here we go. Just Eff It. Well, good morning.
Good morning. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. All our Momradery Mondays, Motivation Monday.
Mompreneur Monday.
Yep, that's right. Well, Romy, who are we?
We are the EFFing Madres, and I'm Romy. This is Carla, two Latinas, two best friends, two girl moms. I'm over here in Austin. She's over there in LA, and every Monday we come on and chat with other madres and hear about their EFFing moments. And an EFFing moment is an internal shift, right, that says, fuck it. If you have kids, we do cuss on this podcast, by the way. So it's when you say F it. It's when you just make a big, bold change that can be emotionally, spiritually, physically throughout your career. But having a child and making those changes, having a family and having people that rely on you while you are making drastic changes is a different kind of strength. It's a different kind of
it's a different kind of strength, and it also is like it takes time. It's not something that you can move through very quickly because of the fact that you do have other people that depend on you. So it makes it that much harder and frustrating sometimes.
Yes.
Anyway.
The things that I could do before I was a mom and the way that I could just sporadically jump somewhere, move somewhere, change careers, do things. It was like easier to pick myself back up when things fall. It's a lot harder when financially and like there's a child looking at you and there's school and there's their life or your partner's life.
Yeah.
Everybody gets affected, not just you. So that's why we like to talk to moms, because it's like it's a different space to say F it as a mom. And so, yeah. Who do we have on today, Carla?
Well, I was just texting her. I was like, we're going to send it to you in just 2 minutes. So we have, when we first started this podcast, on one of our earlier episodes, I want to say it was like episode 3, we had Leslie Liu on, and Leslie Liu is a self-defense coach, and she's just it's one of those people that we just instantly connected to because she is just so freaking honest and raw and hilarious and like no bullshit. And so she told us about our Eff It moment back then in regards to her mom. If you haven't listened to it, we'll link it in the podcast description. But it's been some time, and there's been some changes that have happened in her life. And like we've talked about, these Eff It moments have their ups and downs. And we're going to check in to see where she's at in hers. Might not be great, but we want to talk about those too, because that's the reality of these Eff It moments and these changes.
100%. Yeah. And for those of you, Leslie came out and actually helped us host our first EFFing Madre event that we did here in Austin. And she brought a level that we just like weren't even like expecting. Self-defense as women, teaching us, getting us interactive, involved. If you ever need somebody to come and do something like that for an event or for something that you're hosting, it's life-changing. And I think it really bonded everyone, and she has a way of just like, man, that she is fucking raw and real and no bullshit. And like, she's got some power in her that like we immediately fell in love with. So when you had mentioned like checking in with her again, I was like, fuck yes.
Yeah.
And always, yes. She is always welcome here.
Yeah, always. Okay, we're going to bring her in just a second.
The queen, the warrior queen, as her name is here, Leslie, back with us. We gave her the big grand announcement to who she is. And honestly, guys, normally on a Monday, we would have our set questions. It would be really structured. But you know what? Fuck it this Monday. We are going to get real and raw because that's who Leslie is. That's who we are. And we're just going to have an honest conversation. So this episode is going to look a little bit different. but Leslie is a little bit different. And so we're going to do things a little bit different today.
I'm a lot different.
I'm just trying to be nice.
All right, Leslie, it's been like over a year since you came on. And the effort moment that you shared last time was like an effort moment you had with your mom, where you kind of got into like a physical altercation with your mom. We'll link people to that episode for them to recap on it. But now it's been a year. Where the fuck are you at now?
Jeez, man, that was a while ago. There's two effort moments that happened since then. Because I'm a way different person than when I came on the show initially, right? And that was a defining moment for me to really like tap into some pain and trauma, right? Like, how could I even like move forward if I wasn't working through my shit with my mom? And am I a bad daughter if I like don't forgive my mom? That was kind of like the big thing at that time. So fast forward, let's see, September of last year, my coach invites me to go to on a Kenyan speaking tour with her. To give you an idea of how small I was putting myself as someone who's seemingly confident, my coach was like, "What's your wish list?" I was like, "You mean besides like flying first class?" Um, I would really like to speak in front of a group of 500 people. I just want to speak in front of 500 people. And so ultimately, what ended up happening was during 10 days in Kenya, I spoke in front of 13,000 young people.
Whoa.
13,000. And the effort moment that happened is I adore my coach. She's my best friend. Okay. And for her to believe in me so much and being like, who do these kids need to hear? And they're like, and she's like, Leslie, mother effing Michelle Liu, invites me to Kenya. And I think very highly of her. She's a coach is like 7 figures and like crushing it, scaling her business, right? And I think that there was a lot of insecurity for me of like putting her on a pedestal, and I'm like, well, what am I doing? Like I can like take some videos of if you want, like, just because I've dreamed of going to Kenya my entire life. And so a moment happens when we're in a field of 2,000 girls. My friend just finished kind of killing it, right? Like, who freaking like does cartwheels and push-ups like on dirt paths in Kenya? My best friend does. And so it was her turn to introduce me. And man, like, I wanted to shit my pants, y'all. Because I'm like, what could I really say to these kids that have nothing? Like, who the fuck am I? Who am I? I'm nobody special. But you know what? Something happened. Something happened that literally was my higher self being like, wait a minute, you pictured this moment. You're wearing the exact same black jumpsuit you did the higher self work on. You envisioned this.
Yep.
You didn't know where, but you envisioned this, bitch. So like, just go and just show them who the F you are. And out of nowhere, like a banshee, I only have 7 minutes. Right? Like 7 minutes. What am I supposed to do? I'm not selling anything, but it's really like, what does my heart say? What do I want to do? And so I didn't even have anything prepared, and I was just like, I'm Leslie. I'm the warrior maker. I help make warriors. And I'm like, I'm the warrior. And suddenly, like, all these kids just like puffed up like that, like they got that messaging. And so I did what I do, and then at the end of the talk was giving out silicone bracelets, and a crew of like girls start following me like behind trees and stuff like that, like, and I'm like, I don't know, I'm a little, it's a little weird for me, but I'm just gonna roll with this. And I was like, hi. And they're like, we want to stand next to the warrior.
Oh.
Aww.
I
Did you
mean,
lose it?
I lost it. I lost it a lot that day, aside from seeing kind of the conditions, what's going on for these young girls. But like, that was a moment, y'all, where I just, like, this is why I was placed in this world.
Leslie, don't you think it's
Wow.
kind of magical when you said that? And the first thing that came to my brain is just like you had to find your like spot of remembering who the fuck you are, right? Because we drop that, we lose that, we all do, right? We all fucking lose that confidence, but then it comes back. So you get it back and you go, oh, who am I? Okay, you announce it, you say it, you speak it into the world. I'm the fucking warrior, right? By you finding that, right, and putting it out there like that, they received it, they felt it, they saw it, and they acknowledged it, right? And that is like so key to just all of this.
Mhm.
It is. And so when you take out the messaging and the speaking part, and then you start going on the tours of the schools, like when you go into a concrete room of like 600 beds of girls sharing like four girls to a bed, there's no bathroom, right? Like they've got to line up outside. There are young girls that are pregnant that don't even know it. Like all of that starts hitting me after this talk. And I remember crying and losing it and telling my friend, like, I just don't feel like whatever I'm doing is going to do anything. Really. You know, like sponsoring a girl doing this. And I just like broke down. And the important thing she said to me is like, you know, it only takes one.
Mm. That's Carla's favorite thing to say.
Yeah. It really does. It only takes one person to impact their life. That's all that matters. That's all that matters.
Yeah, so definitely changed me. Like, oh, I there was so much in that trip that just I just came back and it was just like, nope, this is who I am. This is how I be.
Leslie, can I ask you then, because it is coming into my head too? You're the warrior queen. This is who you are. Who is that?
The warrior queen at the highest level is, I think my whole life I've been a fighter. I've always prided myself in that. So in my coaching, when I work in helping women really stand in their power, I talk about two archetypes, right? There's the fighter and there's the warrior. And really breaking down, well, what are the characteristics of a fighter, right? You've got that grit, right? That grit, and like get it done, and like, you know, just you never give up. And there's times in your life to tap into that, but it's really helping people understand, well, what are the characteristics of a warrior? A warrior is strategic. A
Mm-hmm.
warrior has a purpose. It is about the collective. It is about the community. It's not
Mm-hmm.
about winning,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's how does everyone win? A fighter would be like, I'm gonna win, I'm gonna crush it, right? But a warrior is what is for the benefit of the community? How do we rise together, stand together and rise together? And that's what Kenya was for me. Um, and so a warrior queen is someone that decides and does it, right?
Mhm.
I love
Mhm.
that. I feel like it's almost more selfless than a fighter who's just protecting themselves. They're scrapping. Like I fight, you know, we know what fighting is. I know what it's like to fight, and I connect with the fighter part because you're right. You're gonna come at me, I'm gonna fucking hurt you, right? But a warrior is like really strategic and leading. And Carla, I see that part in you. Like you're more of that warrior that like your brain is thinking about what we're doing, who we're impacting, how we're doing. Like you've got a whole plan about what you're doing. Like I like
Yeah. I
you
feel like
changing that.
Yeah, I feel like a warrior, at least for me, is like it's a leader. You're
Mhm.
not just thinking of yourself. You're bringing your team or whatever it is, your whatever it is, your people, and you're leading them into this crusade. You know what I mean? So it's not just you individually fighting for whatever cause it is that you're everyone is following you for this. And
Yeah.
it's a very powerful thing. But I wanted to ask you, because this was a actually pivotal moment for you in your whole life. You wanted to go to Kenya and you've wanted to speak in front of people. You end up having that moment. And what did that do for you after you came back to your life?
It made me understand the legacy I want to leave for my kids, right? Like what
Which is
what is like what is the legacy that I want to leave for my kids? And that the legacy is like they don't have to be the most like overachievers in the world. I want them to be able to receive love and give love.
Mm. Girl, Leslie, that right there, just because we are all just being raw and real and like we haven't connected. My biggest battle in the last like month with my whole personal journey is what you just said. And had somebody worked on that with me as a little girl, like you just saying that, I'm like, it's receiving love and giving love. Those are something that we don't even we bypass it, right? To success, to all the other things that we train our kids to be, that we grow up. Carly, you've struggled with that, right? You know, like all these like levels of which we need to hit. But sometimes just receiving love and knowing how to love others ends up being the most crucial thing that breaks our entire existence down. And it does not matter what that job is when you cannot receive and give love. So you saying that, like, thank you. Thank
Mhm.
you. That's your message. That's your legacy to your children. That's fucking huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just and I've had to learn that. I've had to learn how to receive love of people believing in me, right?
Yes.
Like it's that
Yes.
fighter mentality, right? Like you're a gladiator in the cage. Like you are the biggest attacker. It's like, but girl, you're gonna get tired, right? So as a warrior, if I see,
Yes.
so my clients are in fighter mode. I love fighters. I love the angry ones. I love the ones that have rage and like all this stuff, right? Because in my warrior mind, how I am is like, okay, I'm going to let you exhaust yourself.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Leslie,
Right?
what are they in fighting in general? So if you're sparring, right? I'm a fighter. You spar. What
Yeah.
you're going to do is you're going to let that aggressive one that comes in all hyped out, immature, hasn't trained, they just want to throw punches. They're going to
Yeah.
lose air 2 rounds in. It's the one
Yes.
that's like teasing them, that's jumping around, that's not overextending themselves aggressively to prove anything, that
Yeah.
lasts for fucking multiple rounds and has breath. And I think there's such a lesson in that. And I love that we're using warrior and fighting terms because you and I connect to that. Carly, you connect to that as well. I've always come at like life like you with that fight, that aggressive, and it's going to tap your ass out. And it does. It's that slow pull back. That's Carla.
That's where,
Yeah.
yeah, that's me. Slow and steady,
Slow
baby.
and
Like
steady. Like,
strategy.
yeah, like if
Yeah.
Carla and I were to go in and fight, like I'd probably come at her so aggressive and I'd be like fucking tapped out round 3. She'd be like playing this game because she sees the end of the fight,
Yeah. And you need both. And that's what I came back with the framework with my clients, came back, led some retreats in Phoenix, all this stuff with this like framework of talking about these archetypes because we need to be able to access both. I'm not
Yes.
saying you have to be a
Amen.
fighter or a warrior, right? Like there is times where it's just like, you know what? Gloves off,
Yep.
right? Like if you
Amen.
know what I'm saying? Like you come at me, bro, or my kid, like I will
Yes.
end you. I will
Yeah.
kick you in the gut.
Yes.
And I don't care, right? And then there's other times of like carrying yourself with grace and honor, right? And so for me, the greater good is like, you know what? Just because I can win, right? I have so much experience. Just because I can win the fight doesn't necessarily mean I want to win the fight. Like I can fight dirty, but doesn't
Can I
mean
ask you, Leslie, what is your personal fight right now?
my personal fight, great question. My greatest fight is making the shift from being off of my anti-anxiety medications.
Mm-hmm.
That was a big month struggle of not relying and people telling me like, don't do that, you're going to get seizures, like that's hard, why did you do that? Because I don't want to rely on that. I
I
believe in
know.
moving my body and I believe in nutrition, but I struggled, right? Like
Yeah.
some dark thoughts were coming in and I've had some really hard moments where I'm like, you know what, it doesn't matter if I'm here or whatever I do, like dark stuff like that. Like if I
Girl.
cease to
Yes.
exist, it doesn't matter,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know? And that's my anxiety battle, right? And now I'm on the up and up of that. But my greatest battle right now is the last month before I went to Thailand, I got wrongfully terminated from my corporate job. We know that I have been working on a business while working full time in corporate and I wanted to be laid off, right? But I didn't realize how much that would screw me up and make me question my identity
Yeah.
again, right? So even though you do identity work, well, it's going to come up again. Well, who am I if I'm not a working woman? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, who the F am I? I got thrown out like trash. I've had a perfect writer. You know what I'm saying? Like, all this stuff starts coming up. So my biggest mind shift right now is how do I say to myself, that's me, that'll never be me again, meaning I'm never going back to a corporate life, and actually believing that and actually meaning that and actually developing habits every day to be the CEO of my company. Like, that's my struggle right now, is showing myself, like, yeah, you're gonna show yourself that you can get out of this pit.
I mean, I think sometimes though those personal battles, first of all, I mean, I know this through also coaching other people. I know this through being my own personal coach my whole life, and I know you know that too, but this is going to hit you again. This isn't the end. This is life. This is it. Like it's you're training, you're in training, you're learning new skills, right? You're going to get yourself out of this, Leslie. You will, right? You're going to fight through. You're going to be that CEO, you're going to be that boss. And then guess what? Your identity is going to be you're
you are that
right.
CEO.
You are that
That's where the
CEO.
language, the
You are
language
that
needs to
boss,
shift.
but that
Yeah.
CEO has a whole nother identity to battle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's always, even when I become a millionaire,
Yeah.
for example, that brings a whole other set of problems and mourning people and letting go of
100%.
people,
Yeah.
all this
It
stuff.
never, that's my point, is that it never ends. It's
Yeah.
the tools that we're learning to do through them, and it's like how we navigate through them and what we learn, and if we're not learning or if we let it defeat us, right? If we don't get off
Yeah.
and keep moving, if life does win, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah. It's like getting kicked in the stomach.
yeah,
You've done the rounds and like you're on one knee,
yeah,
right? And I know that I don't give up, but like
yeah.
the
But you
shit,
might be on one knee right now.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
the shit is like,
It's so easy to keep going when shit's good.
of course.
It is so hard at these moments right now when you're like, I don't know if I could do this, but it's in those moments that you have to.
Leslie, I'm literally with you, girl. Like I'm on this podcast today. Carla knows this, like, and to a certain degree. I'm pushing through. I think I have like one leg that works right now. I think I literally have like one fucking leg, one brain here. And it's like that, that fight. And I know you get that where you see the person like beat up and they're still like trying to get up to keep, but they're just fucking destroyed. That is how I personally feel right now in life.
yeah.
But something in me and something in you, that warrior in you, is like, get the fuck up.
Yeah.
Yeah, like go sit in the ice bath and
Yeah.
go eat some protein and rest today.
Yeah.
But like tomorrow,
It's game time.
yeah, it's go time.
Yeah.
But it's the unwavering belief in yourself that has to exist, that you're worth fighting for, when no one else is going to tell you that. No one's telling me like, "Hey, great job." Like I'm not at a job where people are like, "You're doing so amazing." Right? Nobody's telling me every day as a mom like, "Damn, you're crushing it." Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if anything, like I happily embrace being a mediocre mom, because like I was telling Carla, I was like, I'm used to only seeing my kids a few hours a day after coming home from work, and it's nice. Now, technically, I'm a stay-at-home mom. I'm a CEO, but I'm a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
I don't feel guilty saying like I don't like my kids that much. Like I want to be able to do my own thing, and there's something in society that if you're not feeling joy and ease every freaking minute of the day, that that you're not.
There's something's wrong with you.
Yeah, there's something wrong with you, and there's not. You can have it.
No.
You can have it all.
Yeah. I mean, it's like any job that you have. Like, you might love your job, but there are aspects about your job that you don't like. That's with motherhood too. You just can't quit that job. I mean, I guess technically you could.
I mean, I think that's so with like anything, right? That's your partner, that's your relationship, that's your children, that's your job. That's yourself. Like, you don't even have to like yourself all the time. You know what I mean? Like, it's okay. There's going to be those moments. And I do think that, like, the learning to love and receive love, I think that also, aside from like externally, is like it's an internal battle. It's an internal battle of loving yourself, and giving yourself love. And also like that journey as a mom, as a woman, exploring new identities and career opportunities, and learning yourself in a new way. I'm telling you, like, people don't fucking prepare you for this shit. You preparing me for goddamn algebra my whole goddamn life that I couldn't do. This shit is way harder. Like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
way harder.
Yeah, they didn't teach you a class about self-compassion and love
No.
and kindness, and that has been the biggest shift for me. Even though I struggle, I was like, well, what if I just give an ounce of myself to myself the way that I do for other people? I go
Yeah.
really far for people. I'll
Mhm.
give you the shirt off of my back, anything, right? But like, why can't I do that for myself? And so that's
Yeah.
what I've been working tremendously hard on in the last month, and really actually vocalizing what it is that I want, writing it, speaking it, and being specific AF.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask you, what is it that you want, Leslie? Like, what do you want to see out of this shift that you're going through right now?
I'm gonna see 100K a year for
Woo!
sure. I'm gonna see 100K a year this year in my
Minimum,
business
minimum.
minimally.
Yeah.
I specifically want a life free from corporate. Like, I'm never going back to that. um I yesterday, in fact, like, I got to secure a contract with a private school that I'm working with, because I vocalize what is the vision and what it is that I want. And I'm like, I want to be here. I want to be with the problematic kids. Here's what I envision. Here's what I want to do. Boom, it happens,
Mhm.
right? And then now, what I'm calling into the universe, now that my friend and I created our own global organization, Warrior Queens Rise, right? Like, we are, focusing on a global movement, helping young girls worldwide with access to sanitary napkins, education around female genitalia mutilation, and helping women who have suffered from gender-based violence, right?
Mhm.
So that is specific. Like, here's the values, here's where we align. And so what I'm calling into for myself is, well, what do I want? You know what I want to do? I want to go in the shit middle of nowhere in Cambodia or somewhere in Africa, where these women have never been shown how to hold a fist. They have just been victimized. All I want is to be able to go to the places and teach.
Mhm.
That's what I'm calling into, but I had to be very specific of, where do I want to serve? Who do I want to serve, right? Like, I am focusing on Southeast Asia and Africa,
Mhm.
right? So I want that. I'm calling that in. I am calling in more retreats and experiences that I am curating, to be able to create beautiful experiences for women worldwide, right? And showing women really how to be unapologetically bold, and really how to
Mhm.
heal out loud. So that's what I want. um I want to be shredded AF,
Yeah.
meaning, like, and I don't mean like super, like, 2% body fat, but for what that means for me is, like, I have been doing the work, so I am upping my weights every week, right? And just being stronger and building more muscle. um and so body composition, right? Like, I have a certain mindset as to, like, well, what does that look like,
Mhm.
since I spoke to you all last, like, that's 39 pounds ago.
Woo!
And that's great, but
Wow.
it's I'm more impressed of my daily habits
Right.
and rituals that get to that,
Well, Leslie, that's
right?
what I wanted to ask you actually. And this is a question I work with like a lot of my clients, and I'm interested with you.
Mhm.
What is your go-to right now to keep you getting back? Like, what are the tools that you are using, or a tool that you are using right now to get you to the goal you just gave us when you are lifting your body up? What are you doing to move through this to make sure you keep going?
There's consistency. I'm a rhythmic person, so my days are structured around and have to be prioritized around movement, breath, and health.
Perfect.
That has to come first before anything business related, right?
Mm-hmm.
So at the same time, every morning, this is what I wake up. this is what's in my smoothie. This is how I warm up, jogging up the hill.
Yep.
This is me going to HIIT class.
Yep.
Right? Like, and I do that so my body rhythmically understands that that's the habit to be formed, and then go work out, come home. The non-negotiable is spiritual meditative hour.
That's what it is. And I think I'm glad you said that, because I always say that too. What's your non-negotiable? You know? Because
Yeah.
I appreciate you saying that too, because all those things that you want, we can want them, we can say them, we can manifest them, but it's what you're doing in your daily habits, mentally, physically, spiritually, that becomes like how you move through it. And I think that that's the part that so many miss.
Right. And it's the tracking of it.
Yeah.
I am so relentless in blocking the stuff in my calendar because everyone's like, you ain't got nothing going on. You're at home. I'm like,
No, bitch,
no.
look at my calendar. I'm not just at home. I have it all in there. I tell people too, I want to see breath, breathe, hot, sauna, workout, coaching.
Sure.
I
Talk
want
to
to see that shit.
yourself. Yeah,
Yes.
all of that stuff's on
Yes.
there. Reading, writing, all this stuff.
Yes.
Creative time.
Fuck yes.
So that's the non-negotiable. Is spiritual, meditative, and specifically EFT tapping. Because my coach, her specialty is NLP timeline therapy and EFT tapping.
Yeah.
So I have consistently tapped, for well over 6 months, and that just energetically creates something for me. And then it's really community. So I have a coach. There is also an Alpha Queen Collective community that I'm part of. And we show up, right? Every week. Monday is like a health call, spiritual well-being. Wednesday is business, where we are literally like workshopping and talking strategies and the stuffs. And to me, that's a non-negotiable, because like it's a lonely road being an entrepreneur. So people I've had to let go of along the way, people that don't understand, people that want to send me job recs. I'm like, I love you, but like, nah, right? Like, it's a very lonely position to be in when you're a solopreneur. So community and pouring into the community is so important.
It's so important. And for, even someone like myself, who I've considered myself to be like an extroverted introvert, like I'm definitely more introverted than than everybody on here. But even I got to a point where I was like, I need to have other people around me. Cause this is not healthy. This is not like, I feel it's the loneliest road when you're doing these things on your own, and being around other people that even just a conversation can spark an idea, or it can just spark some energy in you. That I'm even contemplating doing those workspaces for women, like going to like
Working,
the
yeah.
day where it's like you work and there's
Oh,
other women around and
yes,
all of that.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. I'm like, that's it's a cost, but it's a cost that I think is really necessary, because I need to be put in that mind frame, because these other people are doing what I want to do.
Right.
I am so
So
freaking proud of you.
well, I haven't done it yet. That's a goal.
Oh, but I'm gonna hold you accountable to that. It's
Yeah,
whether you're
no.
I
doing
love you, Leslie. First of all, like, this is why she's our friend, because bitch just said I'm gonna hold you accountable. Can we get more friends that are saying this to one another? Like, what'd you just say? Okay, well, like, you want to do that? Like, I'm gonna hold you accountable. I say that to my clients when they're like, you want to do that? Okay. Is it okay if I hold you accountable? Is it okay if I check in on you and see if that's happening for you? I love that.
Yeah, like, and that's what I'm saying, Carla. Like, I love that for you, because there's virtual like co-working spaces too. I know it might sound a little weird being on a laptop with other people who ain't talking, but it helps, right?
Yeah, right.
Because you and I crave community. I mean, that's how we freaking met. We were in
Yeah.
that group because it's like the craving of wanting to find like-minded women to generate that energy. Granted, that specific vehicle didn't work out. I was like, this is not my vibe. That's cool. But the fact is, who do we become when we say yes to these things? So even though you might go to a couple co-working spaces or have some online memberships, I mean, maybe you have to like go through 2 spaces and find a different, like, it's like a courtship and dating happens.
I mean, I feel like it is dating right now. I have friends that are, single moms here, working, have their own businesses, and one of them even like went to a mom event last night and came home and she's like, I just can't. Those are not my moms. It was from school, you know? And it is like dating, because as much as you need your relationship, you need that sisterhood, you need those friends, you need that community, right? That you're lacking. But we get so discouraged at this age, right? When we go out and then we see that ain't for me. So fuck, okay, like I don't want that. But it's out there.
Yeah.
It is just finding your tribe, right? Like that's such a cheesy line, like find your tribe and love them hard. But you got to go find who those people are, and you're going to find them only by moving and acting. So only by joining the mom group that we did we find you, Leslie, right? You were like our diamond, we took from there. You're all we took from there, you know, like in terms of like our friendship that like became family. But was that worth it? Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think it's again, relaying back to what I was saying earlier, it's about being crystal clear and specific AF as to what it is you want. Because the three of us are at an age where it's like, I don't got time for that. And that
Yeah.
hoopla and that mess. And that's why sometimes school and mom situations don't work out for me. I'm like, you know, and that's okay, because I'm at an age and a level of experience where I'm like, I am just very clear on what I want in terms of
Hell
friendships
yeah, same.
Yeah.
It's
and
real
Yeah.
people.
clear.
So
Yeah.
you have to be
Yeah.
that way in business too, and everything that you do, because you got to know where it is. So that's what I'm saying, like finding your people.
It's huge. And I'll say over the last like 6 months, I have found a group of women here, moms, non-moms, and like I don't think I've ever found women that like really were like doing the same work. We're on the same goal. We got the same ideas. We can like bounce out. We're communicating. We know when we need to be selfish. We know when we need to do healthy things together. And those friendships are brand new in the last year, but those friendships are so much more aligned with who I am now than friends I've been friends with for 40 years. Just because I've known you for 40 years does not mean that you and I are on the same page together. If I can call a friend up right now and say, I need to run, I need to do yoga, I need to breathe, I need to pray, that's my group.
Yeah, yeah,
And
I love
it's
that.
huge. It's huge, huge, huge. Every one of us last night was like, the eclipse is happening. Are you feeling this? Are you feeling this? All four of us are saying we feel our inner child crying right now. We're so
Oof,
in
that was
sync.
me all week.
We're
That was me
so
all
in sync
week.
right now with like life and energy. And like, that's really beautiful to have that with these women, you
Yeah,
know?
and being open to the idea that it might not come in the form that you think that it will. And the
No.
reason why I say that is, you know, in the community that I'm part of, it's like, man, like at first I'm like, it's interesting that these are people that I've been in a community with, building a business, working on my health for over a year and a half. I've never met any of them. Then I get on a plane to Omaha, and like these women, they see me and they hear me in a way that like other people don't. And it's like, how does this happen when we've known each other virtually for a year and a half? Like it's just it boggles my mind sometimes.
Well, it worked like that with
I was going
us.
to say, yeah.
Yeah, like that's how we met, and it was just like immediately we knew, "Oh, okay. There's something here. There's the connection that we just had."
Well, Carla, you said one time, like possibly in our past, you know, we could have been like warriors together, sisters together in like a past
Yeah.
life. I'm real big on past life and current life. And I know Carla, you are as well. Like, you know, and I wouldn't be surprised if like there's a certain amount of women that like fought some wars together and we just find each other
Yeah.
in the next life. And we're like, I fucking feel you. I don't know what it is, but we're in some war together.
Yeah.
We've
Yeah.
done this together somewhere else.
Yes, we
Yeah.
have. And I'm going to
Yes.
speak to that because I envision me on a horse with
Yes.
a bow and arrow,
Come
right?
on, Pocahontas.
Yeah, yeah. And then like, you know, Romy's on the ground with a long sword and a short sword. Like, come
Yeah.
on, right?
Yeah.
And then Carla is like freaking Sun Tzu in the back,
Yeah.
like coming over the mountain with like 600 other people and be like, ah, we're gonna go this way and like
Leslie,
sneak
you're the
and walk.
Mel Gibson in Braveheart for me.
Braveheart.
Like
I will and I will scream, but it's those visceral
it
instincts. There's a
is.
reason why saying a warrior, and you know,
Yeah.
those kids in Kenya, it's like they got that because that's part of their history, right? Like seeing women
It
and
is.
and understanding what the queen is. And so
Yes.
quickly we found out it's like, man, like I've been a warrior my whole, I consider myself a warrior. I felt a little weird saying it, but now it's on everything. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I got patches on my backpack. I got a hoodie.
Well, like calling yourself a warrior that's such a bold statement. And that's so crazy that it is, because I wish more women were walking around like I'm a fucking warrior, but they feel like that's almost like, well, how do you feel like that? Like, what do you feel like? That's kind of like, it's like an imposter to
And
be a
who are you? Who
right.
are you
Who
to
are you to
say
say
that
you're a warrior?
you're a
It's like, bitch, I'm a
warrior?
warrior.
Yeah.
But like my therapist was telling me, and it makes sense to this whole conversation and kind of like wrapping up what you said when you went there and you had to say who that was and you had to tap into that. Leslie, you just said these girls, there's generational trauma that we talk about, but there's generational warriors we also need to talk about. And it does come from our ancestors, right? Like I am mostly predominantly Native American. If I think for any reason there isn't some fucking war inside of me that comes from generations of generations of generations, then I'm out of my goddamn mind, right? Like these girls come from warriors. That's why they're able to do it. They have generations of fight and warrior women in them, and so do you. So once you tap into yours and they tap into theirs, I feel like there is a part where you just connect on that level.
Yeah, I love that you brought up culture and history. And so what I'm going to like encourage you to do is, if you're proud of that Native American heritage and being very specific, right? It's just like go research the names of those women warriors,
My
right?
therapist tells me, he's like, you need to go do some research, like we need to do some like medicine around this, because this is very,
Know who it
yeah.
is, because like in my time with Kenya, the Queen of Sheba, like there are a certain handful of queens throughout history that really stuck out for these kids, and it was like the Queen of Sheba specifically. So for Native Indigenous folks, there's probably a handful. For me, everyone knows Bruce Lee, everyone knows Jeet Kune Do. I was like, yeah, but did you know that most fighting systems stemmed from women? Because like Jeet Kune Do was developed by a nun in a monastery, but you don't have any record of that, right? Like they're just stories. It's not documented. But in my mind, I'm like, that was developed from a woman.
Okay, Leslie, right there, I just want to say, as your friend too, you preaching and teaching on like historical warrior parts like that and female warriors that like are within us, like I'm going to encourage you with your whole warrior brand too to do some of that, because that right there is like, I love hearing that. I love seeing what we don't know, that it's a nun, that she's the one, that it was a woman, like understanding where that warrior comes from.
Yeah, thank you for reminding me of that, because
Yeah.
I've done a little bit of that, because I'm like, hey, did you know that this chick in that Disney show, like that's Bruce Lee's goddaughter,
Yeah,
right?
no, but like actually like educating women on like, yeah, you are the warrior, but like, where's that come from? Where does that start? What has been in our history? Like, who are the people we aren't speaking of that are? Because we don't fucking know, because no one wants us to fucking know.
Yeah.
Because nobody wants us to know. So I'm curious as to what the version is going to be for Carla. Do you
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? In your culture and your heritage,
Seriously.
like finding, I mean, for some people, Joan of Arc resonates with them. That's cool. She white. I'm not white. That doesn't resonate with me, But it doesn't matter what civilization and culture you're part of.
Listen, we're living in a generation where Glennon Doyle, I think that's how you say her name, is the warrior to most white women in Venice. Like, let's actually do some research here and figure out with our own journeys who our warriors are and where they stem from and what that looks like, because there is such a present day warrior, and that's valid, but there is so much deeper, and there's been a fight that's gone on for so long.
Incredibly.
Long.
So that's why
Yeah.
when I stepped foot in Kenya, I could feel it
Yeah.
viscerally in my body. I didn't even like write that speech. It
Yeah.
just came out because one of my favorite movies ever is The Woman King with Viola Davis.
Yes.
And that is the exact imagery I had. And so when I stepped and I was like, I'm that person that's like touching the dirt. Like my friend's like, why do you keep putting rocks in your pocket? I was like, I'm gonna bring it home. Right. Because I'm like, or before I fight, like I will put the dirt all over me because it's that warrior.
Yeah.
And it's the smell and the instinct. It's like, I've been here, and these kids, like being an Asian chick, it's like these kids, and the country in general of Kenya, it's like, I knew I was going to make an impact, but this country made its impact on me and like held me fully, right? Like they touched my hair because they're like, I never seen anyone that wasn't like white or, from Kenya. So for me, like I'm so foreign to them. So, but they also embraced it because historically, Asia and Africa have had positive trade relationships. So it was also just really nice being somewhere where like people weren't being like, oh, like the Asian person, like in America, people would be like, oh man, you're lifting so hard, you're going at it so hard. Like I usually think Asian chicks are pretty like soft.
First of all, I wouldn't even say that's like culturally right. Like, I'm like,
No.
I would not think of any age like as a cultural, you know what I mean? I think there's a lot of strength there. In fact, almost too much, right? At times.
Yeah, but like, see, and that's what I'm saying. Like, that's why I talk to the experience of like, people don't know because I'm like, well, you don't have people going up to you and saying that. Like, I am not a petite chick. I'm 5'7", right? Like, but for you to just be like, man, you're a lot tougher than I thought. Like, why? Because the perception is that I'm dainty and I'm weak and that I don't use my words or whatever, right? So to go to somewhere like Kenya where they're like, we love you, yeah, and then teaching the kids, you know, self-defense and seeing their eyes and stuff like that, and having the young boys, I'm like, hey, come here. Like I had 2 on one side and 2 on the other. I was like, who's the strongest? Come here. Who here thinks they can push me over? Yeah, it's fun. It was exciting, right? And then to show them that I could not be physically moved.
Yeah. Which you've shown us how to do that. You've shown us, we were
Yeah.
saying that was such a good thing.
No, I was going to say, I think it would be a great exercise for women, especially moms, to dive into what warrior it is that they relate to.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to
Same.
look into that.
Same.
I mean, I was told in the past life I was a man. So
I'm going to
which
go ahead.
may-
I've always said, Carla, I'm going to go ahead and agree with that.
yeah, I feel like that resonates. So maybe I was a warrior man. I don't know. But like there's definitely the warrior piece that I want to dive into because that for me definitely resonates. And I'm curious if moms were to do that
Yeah.
and then find out and like use that.
Yes.
Remember when we had Penny DeViti on the
Yeah,
podcast
yeah.
and she said, I pull out my
Yes.
Michelle Obama card, or I pull out my, whatever powerful woman that she's gonna need to be that day. That warrior is what we carried in our back pocket when we need it.
Okay, so everyone listening, your homework here is to go and research your fucking warrior that's in you, that's historically in you, that's actually bloodline in you, or that you connect to, and put her in your pocket and pull her ass out when you need it. So I'll do that, Carla. You do that. Leslie, you do that.
Yeah.
We need to all recap, at least send it to each other so we can share that on social media, who our warriors are, who we're putting in our pocket when we need to put it in our pocket.
Because we need that strength.
We 100%. And Carla, if you were a man in your past life, I could have been your submissive wife because we are so connected on some level, but you lead me so well that I wouldn't even be confused if I was like, what are we doing, honey? Where are we going?
But it's like, it's not either or, right? Like it can be,
right.
You can tap into that feminine and that masculine. Yeah. We all have it, right? But I think, really tapping into like, what warrior are you? Right? Because there's a reason why moms like are the ones that step in when others can't handle the blood, right? And there's actual like statistics and footage of women lifting cars up off of like off of
Kids
I
and
mean,
me.
you
stuff,
can
yeah.
even take it biblically, and I know I'm the only, I mean, like super, super, like more religious one in this group, but I know we all have that. But like, if you even go biblically, like one of the most biblical women of like all time is the Virgin Mary, or you know what I mean? Like it's a woman, it's a mother, it's her love for her son. There was power in that, and it's historically that mom and the love and the strength and all of that, you know, that is just like it is overlooked, but that's the strong one.
Yeah, and I would go on to say that part of being a warrior is recognizing other warriors, right? Like I'm not
Yeah.
better than you, but like I make sure I tell other warriors they're warriors. You're a warrior,
Amen.
you just don't know it yet.
I want to bring this to an end because we are at our max. But Leslie, I want to thank you for joining us. We've said this before. You're always welcome. We love you. We are supporting you. We are here with you. We are fighting with you. We're on the battlefield with you. What is your last message to everybody in terms of what you want to leave them with where you're at in life today? You got a sentence, you got a thing to tell people. What would that be?
You're worth fighting for.
Boom.
Wow. Amazing.
You're worth fighting for, and that is something that no one can tell you. You have to believe when you're in that
Fuck
darkness
yes.
and in that pit. You know, I've
Fuck
had
yes.
some bad times, and it doesn't matter what anyone was saying to me. I have to believe that I'm worth fighting for.
Amen.
Yeah.
Yes. Girl, I love you. Where can everybody follow you? Where can they connect with you? Share all your stuff.
Yeah. So I predominantly live on Instagram at Reclaiming Your Courage as one word. So if you want to see me get rowdy and like smash stuff, that's fun. I'm on there. So if anything resonated, definitely send me a message. I'm not a bot. On Facebook, Leslie Liu, just my name, Lew, LinkedIn, and reclaimingyourcourage.com.
All right, Leslie, we love having you on. We're so grateful that we joined Hey Mama and found you because that really was such a gift to have this friendship with you. You're amazing. We love your energy. You always pump us up, and I'll chat with you later.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll see you in a couple hours, boo.
Yeah. All right, Leslie, take it off.
Just F it.
Just F it.
Just F it.